So I got some hard line. Got from Advance 3/16 right size fittings. So start on the front brake lines, and once I get the front brake lines routed, one small section, go from the rear up to the master cylinder, but figured out that bracket that comes with the portioning valve, mounts the portioning valve right next to the master cylinder, which is really cool. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to end up moving the portioning valve up into the engine compartment and running all the brake lines to there. So for now, since I don't have new master cylinder and brake boosters yet, I'm just going to route the hard lines into the engine compartment about where I think they're going to need to be, about 6 foot and 4 foot, so I should have plenty extra. I'll curl it up at the end if I got too much. So start on the front brake line. Alright, so you can see here how I got them mounted. Got screwed into there using the factory mount. Got it screwed in there, nothing bolted. Use a carriage bolt so it doesn't interfere with the spring. So now I just gotta route it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up taking these mounts out because they're just gonna be in the way and they don't need to be there. And I'm gonna route the brake line up and over and down and up. So should be good to go. So it's trying to rain on me, so I flew a tarp. Kind of half-assed it, I don't care. All right, so this is where I'm at. Got the brake line hooked up there, underneath the steering box, away from everything, down along the frame rail. We got screwed to the frame rail right there, the rubber isolator, and then that is just temporary. I just got stubbed up to right there, to where the master cylinder will be. I'll get all that mounted and routed final. Next thing is I'm going to run the passenger side across that cross member down there. Get it all hooked up in the air. Alright, so there's a new brake line. I'm going to run along the frame rail, down the cross member there. So I got to get a screw to hold that in here. And then I'm going to run along the back side of that frame rail. Try to get as much line out of it as I possibly can. I don't think, about a 6 foot section, I don't think it's going to be long enough. But I'll do with it what I can anyways. Right there. Alright, now I got the brake line coming up here behind the steering box, but I got a little bit of work to do to make sure it doesn't rub on anything. I want this brake line to be as free floating as possible so it doesn't ever get chafed. So I'm going to go to there, so I need a small section between there and the master cylinder proportioning valve, but that's alright. Sideways, I think I hit something, bolt or something, I don't know, but that brake line is nice and free. It's not rubbing up against nothing. I'm gonna open that other clamp up. I'm gonna put that other brake line into that same clamp. Sorry about that. And puffing, but on my tippy toes on my ladder, stretched out as far as I can go to get this all worked out here. So this weekend's progress, what I've got done so far is I got the brake hoses mounted, got the brackets modified to mount to the spring mount, and then got the brake hose mounted to the spring support here. Then we got the brake line ran into the brake hose, and the brake line mounted, ran across the frame rail, across the cross member there, up behind the steering box. Behind the steering box right there, and then here is the other brake hose, the bracket modified. Modified up here, mounted to the spring mount. This brake line run along the frame rail. The other ones ran back there, right behind the power steering lines and stuff, out of the way. Run up to a clamp right here, and then up into the engine compartment. So all the final tweaking and the final routing, all that stuff will be done when I get the booster and master cylinder put in it. Well, I'm taking the brakes as far as I can for today. Got everything buttoned up, tightened up, ready to go. From here, I'm just gonna work on getting the steering worked out. As of right now, I have full turn, lock to lock on the axle itself. The actual like stops on the knuckles, so that's cool. I just want to make sure that I'm kind of centered on the steering box when I really get this done permanently, and I need to take the sleeve right there, loosen the bolts and spin it around so that the sleeve is against the back, so I don't have any issues with clearance. It's pretty fucking close near my track bar mount and stuff, so we'll do that and see if we can't get this old track bar, or I'm sorry, this old drag link out and get the new one in place. Alright, so yeah, pull her. Get this thing off of here. I will. Eventually. There it goes. Alright, so here's the new drag link. Obviously I gotta swap over the steering stabilizer bracket. But there it is. Obviously I'm gonna cut that end off and fit it into that sleeve. So these parts again, I've had this for over a year now, waiting for this install. So once I get this buttoned up, the steering will be completely finished, which is really neat. So, all right, so the next thing that's important for me in this is getting the axle centered, getting basically the steering wheel centered for the axle, and then centering the steering box. So I got to figure out where, you know, maximum is in the steering box and set the middle of that. Which I really want to get a new steering box, but this works right now. So one of the easiest ways to do this is to sit right in line with it and just eyeball it. So I'm going to eyeball the axle here and just get it in line with the back tire. And you can see that the brake rotor lines up the inside of the wheel in the back, so you can just kind of line it up and just kind of eyeball the brake rotor with the inside of the tire in the back. As long as it looks the same left to right, it's close enough. Yeah. So that's that. Now we got a steering box centered, which I'm pretty sure there's max there. And there's max there, so it looks to be very similar. In direction. So it looks like if the pitman arm is facing forward, then you're pretty much centered. Fight the hydraulics a little bit to get to go. So there's that. What I'm doing is I'm taking the old track bar, because it's a nice straight piece of steel, and I'm holding it flat on the rotor face with the steering as eyeball as I can get it. And I'm measuring from the frame rail to there, and I got 17 1/4 to the inside. Get.
Come on.
I'll get that from them in a second. All right, back to the other side. We're 16 1/4 over there. So we're at 17 here, so we're 3/8 of an inch off. So this needs to be at 16 5/8. And 5/8. Now I'll run the nut down, tighten it up by hand. Now the axle's relatively centered. What I'm doing is I'm going to grind this down. Move the camera a little bit. I'm going to grind this down so it fits inside the sleeve. Now I'm going to weld it along the seam right here with a couple good passes. And then I'm going to weld around the perimeter, and it'll be rock solid, because I'm going to take this clamp, I'm going to clamp that clamp down on it and weld it, and it shouldn't go anywhere. I don't know. We'll see. I need this to fit into here relatively snug. So if I take my mic and I measure it, alright, get it right where I need it, and then lock the mic down. Okay. It's just a hair under an inch. You can see, I don't know if you can see that or not. That doesn't quite fit yet, so a couple hundredths maybe. So I'm going to take it back into the belt grinder, and we're going to belt grind it until this slips over it, and then I'll hammer fit that in there and clamp it down and weld it up and hope for the best.
Two flags fly above my land and really sum up how I feel. One is the colors that fly high and proud, the red, the white, the blue. The other one's got a rattlesnake with a simple statement made. Don't tread on me is what it says, and I'll take that to my grave. Because this is me. I'm proud to be American and strong.